Hi, Jared Dennis from Success Council here. Today in episode 10, we're going to critique the arguments upholding the Second Amendment and not restricting the right to bear arms. I have found 5 arguments, and I will present them now in the order that I think is most important. Number 1, defense from foreign governments. As we mentioned in our last video, for a long time, Switzerland has laws requiring every citizen to have military-style fully automatic weapons and ammunition in their home. So how did that play out the last time there was a war in Europe? Well, Hitler conquered just about all of Europe except this little green patch here. That is Switzerland, home of the most fabulous gold reserves in the world. Had Hitler have conquered it, he could have financed his war machine to possibly take over the whole world, but he never even tried. Between the difficult terrain and the well-armed citizenry, he considered it an impossible fortress. But the U.S. has experienced the same benefit firsthand. Just after the bombing of Pearl Harbor, the Japanese were deciding whether or not to invade on the Californian coast. Isoroku Yamamoto, commander-in-chief of the Imperial Japanese Navy during World War II, said, "You cannot invade the mainland United States. There would be a man with a rifle behind every blade of grass." I find it truly amazing that defense from a foreign government almost never comes up when discussing gun control. To me, it is the number one thing, especially today, with Obama trying his very best to provoke a war with Iran, with China, and Russia taking Iran's side. The world may find itself with a World War III not out of the question. But even if that were not true today, is it unforeseeable that at some point in the future, the U.S. might be at war with an enemy that might be able to fight back? How will our children judge us if we made them easy targets by taking away their guns? Your grandchildren might be very upset, but you won't know because they may speak Chinese or Russian. This argument holds true even if gun control laws reduce crime, which it doesn't as showed in episode 9. But let's say for argument's sake it does. Then surely this one point still trumps. The country is vulnerable to attack. Moving on. Number 2, defense from your government. I know a lot of people say they think this is silly, but let's look at the facts. In 1929, the Soviet Union established gun control. From 1929 to 1953, their government murdered about 20 million of their own people. In 1911, it was Turkey. From 1915 to 1917, 1.5 million Armenians slaughtered. Germany in 1938. Then from 1939 to 1945, a total of 13 million Jews and others exterminated. China established gun control in 1935. From 1948 to 1952, 20 million political dissidents were murdered. Guatemala didn't even let the ink dry. 100,000 Mayan Indians murdered. A total of 56 million people were murdered by their own respective governments in the 20th century. The point is, it happens. But even more incredible that it's already happening here in the United States.
According to the New York Times, President Obama personally approves every new name on that expanding kill list.
It's unlawful because it allows the president to kill people, including U.S. citizens, far from any theater of war. It is dangerous because it sets a precedent.
Well, is that the new reality of presidential power? The authority to decide without review, without a judicial system, without a trial, without accountability from anyone, and without protection from the Constitution. A president can simply declare your life over.
Even if you think this killing without due process is legitimate, can you seriously guarantee that the next president or the one after that will not be worse? Thomas Jefferson said, "When the people fear their government, there is tyranny. When the government fears the people, there's liberty." 3. Guns reduce crime. As we saw in the previous episode, the statistics show this to be true. But why?
These maximum security felons said they fear an armed victim much more than the police.
When you're going to rob somebody you don't know, it makes it harder.
And they said gun laws don't matter to them. They don't obey them.
I'm not worried about the government saying that I can't carry a gun. I'm going to carry a gun anyway.
It's impossible to know exactly how often guns stop criminals because who reports a crime that doesn't happen? But people use guns in self-defense every day.
Often just showing a gun is enough to prevent the crime.
When robbers broke into Joyce and Raymond Pappin's home and attacked Raymond, he yelled,
"Get the gun, get the gun."
Joyce did, and when the robbers saw it, they ran away.
Boy, when he saw the gun, he just started running, and they weren't just walking fast, they were running.
Within seconds, the knife-wielding man seriously injured 2 people.
There was blood all over. One got stabbed in his stomach, and one he got stabbed in his head, and he held his hands. He got stabbed all over his arms.
Then, before the suspect could find another victim, a citizen with a gun stopped the madness.
A guy pulled a gun on him and told him to drop his weapon or he would shoot him. So he dropped his weapon, and then the people from Smith's got him.
And officers had high praise for the gun-carrying man who ended the hysteria.
Number 4, no one has the right to reduce someone's ability to defend themselves. By doing so, you inherently take responsibility to keep them safe. By providing a police force, the government assists with keeping you safe. But when the government forcibly reduces your ability to defend yourself, now they are liable for your safety. A guarantee they simply cannot commit to. A sad truth of the British and Australian gun bans is that the elderly are easy prey and have experienced far more home invasions than before the ban. Unlike these American seniors.
There was 3 guys out there, and one hit me with a baseball right off. Opened the door, wham!
Even though he was stunned by a blow to his head, Jack pulled out a gun.
Shot him. Shot the other one, and the other one was running. I didn't want to shoot him in the back, so I let him go.
They were interrupted by these 2 men. Watch as deputies say Davis Dawkins and Dwayne Henderson come in and wave a gun, pointing it right at the customers asking for valuables. But just seconds later, someone steps in. Look at the right of your screen, a man running with a gun, firing at the suspects. From another angle, look at the guys in black clothing with masks, one with a gun, the other with a bat. You see them, and then you don't. The next time they come into view, one of them is diving on the ground. The man, 63-year-old Samuel Williams. He's right behind them, firing. They leave. Williams, calm as can be, locks the door and waits for police.
Sheriff Chuck Wright says 2 masked men entered a Waffle House in Chesney about 1 o'clock in the morning and ordered the customers inside to the floor, the employees to the back room. Sheriff Wright says one of those customers had a concealed weapons permit. He says he then pulled his gun and told the 2 men to wait for cops to show up. The sheriff says one of the robbers, 19-year-old Dante Williams, then turned his gun toward the diner, and that's when the customer shot and killed Williams.
This is another example of how a CWP may save your life.
Number 5, morality. The only way to take guns off of people is to send around men with guns to force them to give them up. There is no principle in place, and there is no morality behind people or governments ordaining themselves the right to use guns to take guns, no matter how many people voted for it or how popular it is. In fact, gun bans is often the phrase thrown around in this debate, but no one is suggesting gun bans. They are suggesting banning the people from having guns. Government agencies are never mentioned. So really, it is just the political class and the people who think big and powerful government is the answer to all of their problems. So what do the people think is the solution to gun crime and massacres?
So we've learned that gun sales in Utah are on the rise since the Colorado Theater shooting. Concealed weapon permit requests are also up. That means more people want access to guns and the right to conceal and carry them.
Yes, the citizens of America are buying more guns than ever before as a result of all the above issues. So if the people are showing that they want more guns, why are we hearing so much about gun bans these days? What was Mr. Jefferson saying about when the government fears people? So it's very clear from the last 2 videos that gun control is the exact opposite of what people want. And with good reason. It is a disaster for them. It is also clear the only beneficiaries of such laws is the ruling or political class. So what are U.S. representatives doing?
New concerns today as the United Nations is now considering at this moment a global arms treaty that would curtail certain gun sales. Right now, the UN is working on a plan that would put a whole new set of international gun rules in place. Supporters, including the Obama administration, argue it will make the world more secure by tamping down on weapons commonly used by gangs and terrorists.
Okay, guys, I think you get the picture here. By themselves, these last two videos show just how absurd the argument for gun control is. The motive for that absurdity is a little more complicated. By going through each of the videos on this YouTube channel, you will begin to get a very clear picture of desired outcomes by the ruling class. Soon, we will tie all of these seemingly unrelated issues together for a complete picture of how the world works. If you like this video, please go ahead and subscribe to this YouTube channel. Like it, email it to friends, and head over to successcouncil.com where you can watch heaps more and attend our group training on what to do to create an incredible fortune during the upcoming economic collapse. That is all for today. Next week, we're going to talk about public schooling. Are we being deliberately dumbed down by our governments? The evidence will shock you.